Right now, I will tell you that we're within a very short period of time for overt persecution of the church in this nation. What you're seeing across in other places, maybe not with behead, there might not be beheadings here, but we're already under persecution because we're separated out. Persecution is when you're treated differently, and already under the law, we're treated differently. Already under the law, we can't speak our minds. So Tina was just telling us on the way over here about the change in San Antonio, that if you say anything against homosexuals, you can't run for office down there. They're going to eliminate you. That's your freedom of speech. They got no right to do that, but they're doing it, and with full grace. But then when you listen in Washington, when you listen to the people who really express what the belief is on the side that says that Christians have no standing, they say things like Alec Baldwin said about Henry Hyde. Henry Hyde was the one who got the Hyde to protect the unborn. And he said about Henry Hyde, we need to stone him, and we need to kill his family, we need to kill his children. There doesn't need to be any strain on the Henry Hyde family left. And that was 10 years ago. So understand that rhetoric is now expanding, and it is right here at our doorsteps. And we as Christians have remained silent, like if we just stay out of view, it's going to be okay. I'm telling you, we need Christians to run for office. They're a dedicated group of Christians. Randy Forbes and I were in China together, and I was giving New Testaments out to all the leaders over there because I told them, quit killing Christians, please. And they would say, well, why? I said, well, they're here. They're afraid that they're going to try to take over the nation. And so I would show them the passages where it says that we're not to be rulers of the world, that we're supposed to obey the worldly rulers, the ones in office, and that we are to do the things for the orphans and the children. Now, those are our tasks, and it's not public leadership that we're called to do. And I said, and you won't let people read, so there's some false teachers who tell them that they're supposed to go out and they're supposed to overthrow you. That's not what this book says at all. So please take this copy, read it. And they were gladly taking it. So Randy he asked me last night, we should get our wives together in the lobby and pray. He said, I feel darkness here in this land that has been oppressing me while we're here. When we got home, then we formed the first ever Congressional Prayer Caucus, and we meet in room 219. So if you walk off the floor of the house, we would go through doors like that, go down a little short hallway, and room 219 is there. So every Monday or Tuesday, the first votes of the week, if you, at 4:15 this time, 6:15 our time, or 6:30, I'm sorry, 6:30 and 4:30, you will see that little clock ticking. You will know that we've cast our first vote, and then we walk over for the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We're in room 219 in prayer for the nation, prayer for us in our positions. And you can join us in that. You can look up 219 on the web page and the prayer caucus, Congressional Prayer Caucus, and join us in that time. There are Bible studies that meet all through the week. I used to go to 2 right now. I'm not going to just 1, but know that there are committed believers there. But we're all scattered. So you read through the history of Israel, and you start seeing kind of what's happening to us as believers right now. And so I think that we're going to see very difficult times, and our response will be measured by the rest of the world who's watching what we say and do. I will tell you that generally I don't find a lot of courage among our pastors, not to speak about this pastor, but I'm telling you that many pastors really tell their congregation we can't cause trouble in this. We need to be quiet. And I'm telling you that we must be evaluating our values. We must be evaluating our stances. This nation would not exist if it weren't for the guys in the black robes in the pulpits. That's what the English said. If it weren't for those guys who preach on Sunday, then they'd take off the black robes and they came down and led the revolution. And yet today there doesn't seem to be that memory that we're the ones who are called to tell the truth. We're the ones who are called to be the witnesses that there is a different way. And when we do not do that, the rest of the world thinks that we're just a coffee club, so they might as well be going to Sunday. One of my good friends in Washington, actually in the Senate, we saw him. I was headed to church one Sunday with my wife. We come home about 48 of the 52 weekends, but if we're there, we go to church. And so we were pulling up, and he was coming in, he and his wife. So, well, what are y'all doing down this neighborhood? And they had their jogging clothes on. I said, well, we're going to church. He said, oh yeah, me and my wife, we just finished the latest, and that's the same thing as church. And so, so that's kind of the belief that's out there, and that's the belief in Washington. Washington is a dark place. Washington is a place with a lot of things that are not right going on, and they're very publicly not going right. And so know that we are called to be that light in the darkness. We are called, you and me, we're called to tell about our values, to live those values. That doesn't mean we're not going to screw up. And that's what we believe in a Savior for, because none of us are going to be perfect. And so always in my life, I was waiting until I got things right, till I got things perfect. And that was really a big hindrance. And when I came off the back road and came up and got those 36 signatures, suddenly I was called into a different role, imperfect or not. I can at least testify every day of what I believe. And I believe in God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And when we say those beliefs out loud, then people out there who don't believe anything begin to say, well, what's that about? It's that simple. We're not called for the outcomes. We're just called to say, to speak. So every day people say, well, you must be awfully strained, stressed. There'll be terrible conflict there. No, actually it's not. I never feel the pressure. That's God's pressure, not mine. All I'm required to do is speak the truth as I know it. And so you hear me going around the district, people ask me, and I tell them. And they say, well, that's pretty straightforward for a politician. I said, I'm not a politician. I'm first of all a child of God, and then I'm going there to do that job. And I'm not so one of our leaders said, well, you're not a very good team member last year. He said, I'm one of the hardest votes there is on the Republican side, and sometimes in the number of 3 or 4 very hard. You're not a very good team player. And I said, with all respect, sir, I didn't come here as a member of a team. I run as a Republican. But I come here as an American. If you get the bills right, I'll vote right. But if you have them wrong, I'll vote against you. I said, I don't care. I'm not here for part of you. I'm not out of this place. I'm in the place. So all these things come from your faith. And all of us, if you're sitting here on is this Wednesday night or Thursday or Friday? I don't know what night it is. But if you're here at night and it's not the NFL day, then you're committed. And all of us can speak to that. Our neighbors now are beginning to ask, what is it about us that's different? Because the nation is hungry for that message. And just how hungry, so about a month ago, you get a sense of how things perform when you watch over a period of time, and I've been watching over a period of time. So 6 weeks ago, I was up in Capitan. That's almost as humble as the place I grew up in, Nadine. We were moving from Eunice to Hobbs. Nadine is 5 miles short, and we ran out of money 5 miles short, so I just grew up out there. So I'm in Capitan. I'm giving the invocation for the rodeo, and it's pretty, Capitan's a long way from civilization. It's a long way out there. And the rodeo is, again, not sort of the high-profile thing for a congressman to be doing, but they asked me, so I said, sure, I will go and I will do that. And so I told the Cowboys, they're sitting up here on the fence. I'm walking through the fence here, and I'm going to go out and pray to the group, and the fence is going to be behind me. And so I'm telling the Cowboys before I go out, hey, I'm the one doing the prayer, so we'll get you on those bulls as soon as we can. It's going to be a Baptist prayer, it won't last long. So, and so we're just chatting. Anyway, so I go out and do the prayer, and they take a picture of me doing the prayer, looking back this way. And I didn't know that all the Cowboys had come down off that fence, and they were kneeling on their knees in an arena in front of the 200 people over here and watching the rodeo. But someone took a picture of that, and those Cowboys with their hat in their hand and on one knee, joining me in prayer. Normally, if we post something on Facebook, there'll be 800 people see it, 1,000. We have 10,000 friends, or whatever you call them. We have 10,000 people kind of watching us, and so maybe 1,000 won't pay attention and take a look at it. We posted this one, and within hours it was 100,000. Then a couple more hours it was 500,000. Ended up 2.3 million people seeing that post and saying that they like that. The world is hungry for what you and I have to offer, but many times we lock ourselves inside the building and we sing hymns and praises to each other. But the problems are out there. The people who need the feeding, the flock that needs shepherding is out there, and many times, and I'm speaking to myself. I'll tell you where I said I will be the first among you until I didn't engage at all. But I'm deeply engaged now because I got pulled into this arena, and I see the battle lines every day, and I see the tasks that we have in front of us. And so I go into places where they intensely dislike my viewpoints, where they disagree with me. And they don't mind shouting, they don't mind trying to drown me out or whatever, and yet I think we are called to speak to those people, So I don't know where we go. The nation is in deep, deep distress right now. I think that the distress, the difference in value sets is probably as much different as it was in the time of slavery. You had the slave holders, the Democrat Party were the slave holders, the Whigs were the ones who did not own slavery. But the Whigs didn't have any moral courage to speak up. And so a splinter group broke off the Whigs. There were just 5 or 6 to start with, and they called themselves Republicans. So one of the first Republicans was a gangly guy that no one really thought was very electable, but they were going to run this, so the Republican Party was going to run a candidate. The Whig Party began to dry up and literally could not even field a candidate because they didn't have courage of conviction. So this Republicans, they didn't have a national setup or anything. They ran this guy that wasn't very electable, had lost every election been in except one. His name was Abraham Lincoln, and he was elected the president over one idea that the nation was hungry for, that one human being should not own another human being. On nothing else. They didn't have any structure, they didn't have whatever. And Abraham Lincoln was not a very strong believer. He was raised in one of those hard-shell Baptist homes, and he rejected it. He walked away. It was so hard. In his early career, he dearly loved to take Christians and string them up and skewer them publicly, with words, not actively. And so Abraham Lincoln was used by God to be the single person to stand up against an entire nation. The North didn't want to fight the war. The South didn't want to fight the war. His cabinet didn't want to fight the war. The generals didn't want to fight the generals from the South who they'd gone to West Point with. One man that said, "I'll go," and went. And God used one man to change this world. If it had not been for him, the war would not have been fought and the war would not have been won. When his generals were afraid, they wouldn't prosecute the battle. So he was president of the day, and at nighttime he was reading military logic, so that he was calling the battle plans all the way up through Gettysburg and afterwards. So one man, under the intense pressures of office and against everybody who did not want this deep conflict, said one human should own another. You and I are called to be that person. None of us know if we will be in such a significant position as Abraham Lincoln. But all of us are called to be witnesses here in this earth about the right and the wrong. And so I ask for your prayers because we're deep in the battle, but so are you. I pray for you all daily because we desperately need people out here who will stand up as much as in Washington. And so that's my prayer tonight. I request your prayers, and we, the nation, if that 2 Chronicles 7:14 is going to be in fine shape, if we will remember that, if we will turn from our wicked ways, if we will seek his face and turn to him in prayer, we're going to be okay. If not, then I worry and wonder about the future of this land. God bless you all. Thank you very much.